Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. The new Captain Kirk is the Star Trek franchise's answer to Captain America. IDW's new flagship Star Trek series, The Last Starship, brings Kirk centuries into his future, giving him the biggest mission of his storied career. Save the Federation. Kirk's new status quo makes him a man out of time, just like Captain America. Speaking with Brian Cronin of Comic Book Resources, The Last Starship writers Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly offered further insight. Cronin drew a comparison between Kirk's last moments, as seen in Generations, and Captain America's revival in modern day. Cronin refers to Kirk as a man out of time in The Last Starship, much like Captain America in the Marvel Universe. There have been multiple captains of the Starship Enterprise during Star Trek's 59-year history, and James Kirk may be the best known. The captain of the Enterprise during a series of 5-year missions, Kirk cemented his place as a Starfleet hero thanks to his dynamic command style and ability for quick thinking. By the time Kirk disappeared on the maiden voyage of the Enterprise in CC 1701b, he had ascended to the status of legend. Unfortunately, Kirk was seemingly lost on that trip. Unbeknownst to all, Kirk was actually transported into the Nexus, an interstellar phenomenon that transcended space and time. Arriving in the 24th century, he was killed fighting Dr. Saran. Yet legends refuse to die, and IDW's Star Trek, The Last Starship, brings Captain Kirk back to life in a grand fashion. Revived in the 30th century by a mysterious faction of the Borg, Kirk must fight to hold the Federation together at a pivotal moment in its history. The Burn, the single most devastating event to ever hit the galaxy. Star Trek Discovery's third season revealed more about the Burn. An accident triggered a chain reaction destroying the galaxy's supply of dilithium. This element is integral for warp travel. Without it, the Federation, which now spanned the entirety of the galaxy, fell apart. The Last Starship's opening pages put a personal spin on the Burn's devastation. From the beginning, Star Trek The Last Starship's creative team of writers Lansing and Kelly and artist Adrian Bonilla have stressed the stranger in a strange land elements that are present in the book. Kirk died in the late 24th century after living his life in the 23rd and is now revived in the 30th. As Brian Cronin points out in the Comic Book Resources interview, this gives Kirk a great deal in common with Captain America. Like Kirk, Captain America awoke to find himself in a vastly different world than he remembered. Despite this, Captain America never abandons his moral code, regardless of what time frame he is in. Much has changed in the galaxy since Captain Kirk's heyday. As noted earlier, the Federation now stretches across the galaxy. In addition to founding members such as the Vulcans and the Andorians, the Federation now includes former enemies, such as the Tholans, the Romulans, and even the Klingons, and it is this last one that may give Kirk pause. As seen in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, Kirk has reason to hate Klingons. One of them killed his son David. Kirk spent the next decade nursing a grudge against the warrior race, and this was used against him in his trial in the Undiscovered Country. That film ended with the promise that Kirk would work through his issues. Star Trek The Last Starship could continue Kirk's acceptance of the Klingons. Kirk was instrumental in beginning the peace process with the Klingons. Despite his misgivings, Kirk disappeared into the Nexus before he could see the fruits of his efforts. Furthermore, he was only in the 24th century for a short period, giving him no time for a history lesson. Yet now, in the 30th century, Kirk is confronted with peaceful Klingons who are affiliated with the Federation. Lansing and Kelly hint that this will require some adjustment on Kirk's part. but it could bring his arc from the undiscovered country full circle. IDW's advanced solicitations revealed the Klingons attacked Earth after the burn. Will Kirk have to broker peace again? The struggles that Captain Kirk will face in the 30th century of Star Trek, The Last Starship, mirrors those of Captain America after his revival in contemporary times. When Captain America went onto the ice, America had just won a world war. Furthermore, the world underwent massive cultural shifts while Captain America was in hibernation. For Captain Kirk, not only will he have to come to terms with Klingons and Romulans in the Federation, but he must learn centuries of history and technology that happened while he was dead. However, the events unfolding in the rest of the galaxy in response to the burn complicate this adjustment. Cronin points out in the interview that when Captain America returned to the present day in Avengers #4, he moved on quickly. This owed more to the storytelling conventions of the time, leaving later generations of writers and artists to mine gold from Captain America's struggle to assimilate to the world around him. Perhaps the best example of this type of Captain America story came in 1974. The Secret Empire arc, not to be confused with the 2017 crossover of the same name, pits Captain America against a wide-reaching conspiracy that was firmly entrenched in American life. Written as a response to the Watergate scandal, the story is regarded as a classic, and Star Trek: The Last Starship could give Captain Kirk an arc similar to Captain America's in the Marvel Universe. Even before he disappeared and was presumed dead, Captain America was a hero and icon to Americans. When The Last Starship opens, Captain Kirk is but a memory to Starfleet, but he still inspires the organization centuries later. Secret Empire was a watershed story for Captain America, one that examined the character's relevance to America and the Marvel Universe as a whole. Star Trek: The Last Starship can do something similar for Captain Kirk by transporting him to a different time. Far from being an outdated relic, he is a symbol of hope and unity for a broken people. The Star Trek universe is undergoing a renaissance, and at the heart of its new creative pulse is the return, or rather, the reinvention, of one of its most iconic heroes, Captain James T. Kirk. But this time, Star Trek is taking the legendary Starfleet captain in a direction that feels boldly inspired by another cornerstone of American pop culture, Captain America. In recent years, both characters have served as symbols of leadership, integrity, and courage. Yet, as the world becomes more morally complex, so too must its heroes. Star Trek's new interpretation of Captain Kirk doesn't simply mimic the patriotism and valor of Steve Rogers, it evolves them. He becomes the Federation's answer to Captain America, a man caught between idealism and realism, embodying the tension between what humanity is and what it wants to be. When Chris Pine first stepped into Kirk's boots in J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek reboot, he embodied a younger, brasher version of the hero William Shatner made famous. Pine's Kirk was a rebel, brilliant but impulsive, noble but reckless. However, the latest iteration of Kirk, played by Paul Wesley in Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, reveals a more seasoned, thoughtful, and emotionally grounded captain. In this portrayal, we meet a Kirk shaped by loss, by war, and by moral gray zones that challenge his once simple view of heroism. He's no longer just a rule-breaking prodigy with charm and swagger. He's a man burdened by leadership and haunted by choices. This evolution feels strikingly parallel to Steve Rogers' own arc in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like Rogers, the new Kirk embodies the timeless struggle between duty and conscience. Both men fight for ideals larger than themselves: peace, unity, justice, but increasingly find themselves questioning the systems they serve. The Federation, much like SHIELD or the U.S. government in Captain America, The Winter Soldier isn't always pure. In both universes, corruption and secrecy lurk beneath the surface. The difference is that while Rogers eventually breaks away from his system, Kirk continues to believe in reform, in fixing the flaws from within. Kirk's place in the new Star Trek canon is symbolic. As the galaxy grows darker, with political fragmentation, alien rivalries, and ethical compromises testing the Federation's ideals, Kirk becomes the embodiment of its conscience. He's the man who dares to question orders, not because of arrogance, but because he knows that obedience without reflection is dangerous. This sense of moral conviction mirrors Captain America's brand of heroism. Rogers was never simply about waving a flag. He represented the idea of America, not its bureaucracy. Similarly, Kirk represents the dream of the Federation, not its hierarchy. In both characters, there's an old-fashioned sincerity that feels almost radical in today's cynical world. They're both soldiers of principle, navigating landscapes filled with deception, power plays, and blurred loyalties. In Strange New Worlds, Kirk's interactions with Captain Pike and the rest of Starfleet reflect this evolution. He's more introspective than his predecessors, more aware of the price of command. Like Steve Rogers facing off against Tony Stark, Kirk stands as the moral counterbalance to authority, the reminder that values matter more than protocols. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.